Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the session, the episodes and podcasts and videos series that wants and desire to bring you the present and future of search marketing, but no, not just of search marketing. Um, Before presenting you the guest of today, please remember to click on the bell. I think it's somewhere below here, and subscribe. Also, you can subscribe also to the search session channel on Apple Podcast and Spotify if you prefer to listen instead of watching me. Okay, without further ado, let's go with our guest, who is welcome, Purna.
Ciao, bello. So
Hey,
good
how
to
are you
be
doing?
here.
If you are one of those who don't know, don't know her, Purna is a principal consultant and global program manager at LinkedIn, as
Yeah.
we can read, and she is already working for quite a few years in LinkedIn and before even in Microsoft. So for the people of SEO, uh, Microsoft has become really important in the last 2 and almost 3 years because of a collaboration with ChatGPT and OpenAI.
Mhm.
So, Purna, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Just out of curiosity, what does a principal consultant and global program manager does?
I know it's the question I get so often that people ask me, like, wait, are you a consultant? Do you work for LinkedIn? Like, how does it work? So, let me explain my job. So, my primary job is I sit on this amazing team of specialists, and our job is to go out and advise LinkedIn members and LinkedIn advertisers on how they can grow their business using LinkedIn and beyond through the power of incredible content and marketing efforts. And so, as part of my job, so that explains principal consultant because we go out and consult with our members on LinkedIn. But then how I do it is I have built this global scale customer education, customer empowerment program called Innovate with LinkedIn. I've also built LinkedIn Sustainability Summit. And what we do is find ways to reach all of our sort of customers and advertisers at LinkedIn all over the world across Asia and Pacific, across Europe and the Middle East and North Africa, and across all of the Americas, and share with them all of the best questions, best answers to the top questions they have. So, yeah, I'm really, really busy, but I love it. I work with an incredible team of people who I absolutely love and respect and learn from.
Sounds like a very interesting and entertaining job
It is.
because I
There's
mean,
never a dull moment, but that's what we like marketing, isn't it? There's just
yeah, no, no,
always
and
learning.
especially because you were saying that you are not confined into one geography, so you can really understand the pulse of the people and the markets of the brands
Exactly.
in globally, which is really interesting. Something that maybe in the future all this knowledge can be useful for new projects for you.
That's what
And
I hope. Always inspired by you with your sort of international SEO expertise, and like the founder of international
yeah,
SEO and
welcome,
PR.
welcome. Too good, too good, too good. Okay, but if you don't know, dear listener and watchers, uh, Purna also wrote a wonderful book entitled Impact Content Marketing. And I will start from maybe a basic question, but we know that we are living in a crisis. I'm using crisis in the original meaning, Greek meaning, that is a passage from the old to the
Mm.
new. So, what is the old or content marketing that we should still maintain and take into account, make us and don't throw, considering as it was the past?
Well, firstly, I didn't know that crisis actually meant a passage. But when you were saying you were living in a crisis, I'm like, yes, I live in America. But it's all a crisis. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
kind of crisis.
So yes, crisis in the current term, but also going back to your actual question about crisis as the passageway, isn't it? It's such an exciting time. I think it's the only similar comparison is when the internet first came out, and we were like, "Oh my god, this is the internet. There's the website. The things are going to happen." And then we had the big dot-com bubble burst, and now we have the internet as we have it today. And it's the same way that marketers are like, oh my gosh, now it's AI everywhere. And I think we'll have a similar reckoning like the dot-com bubble. But what hasn't changed, and I think what people forget, is that marketing isn't new. Marketing has been around for centuries, for hundreds and thousands of years. In fact, the first advertisement I read recently was a caveman doing a little cave art, right? Trying to like promote, sell something. I forget what it was. But as long as humankind has existed, marketing, advertising has existed. And the whole goal of it is to connect with people and convince them to change their behavior and choose you, right, over anything else. And so human nature hasn't changed. How we connect with people is just the mediums and the platforms that have changed. And that's the biggest thing that I think if marketers would, if it would help them stop worrying and stop panicking, is that don't just get swept up with all of the hype. Don't just worry that the sky is falling, or don't also think that everything's going to be fantastic because you can just give everything to AI and then not have to worry about it. Ultimately, the principles of marketing are the same and unwavering because they are the principles of human nature and human behavior. What appealed to us once in the future is going to keep appealing to us, right? Things like curiosity. We've always been such curious creatures exploring our world. So trying to hook somebody with curiosity worked 1,000 years ago, it'll still work today. So again, this is something super deep we can get into, but I would just say, like, let's just take a pragmatic approach. Platforms change, platforms come and go, mediums come and go, but ultimately we're still about just trying to connect with humans, understand them, get them interested, and get them to want to work with us.
I totally agree with you because there are very basic principles that are still there for every kind of marketing and communication. Yes, curiosity. Uh, there is also communication,
Yeah.
because if you are not able to communicate, it's persuasion.
Yep.
And so these are the principles that maintains. Then all channel has its own technicalities, but this is a further step. The one that maybe change, but the ones that really drive, for instance, SEO, and that makes SEO, PPC, social media, and email marketing, all this kind of content marketing itself, when it comes to marketing, is marketing.
Yeah.
Then there is how to do it. In your book, you say about things, choices. It's a word, if I remember well, that people usually get wrong. And there is one that has really. One is a classic. So chasing trends, but maybe it's the case in this moment.
Yeah.
Chasing trends versus being grounded strategically. But there is another one which is focusing on outputs versus outcomes. Can you
Yes.
explain it a little bit more? Because maybe for me, I'm Italian, the difference, the words sound similar, the concept sometimes collides, but there is a big difference between the two things.
Exactly. And this is, I think, one of the biggest mistakes that marketers make right now is they're just all about like, well, I need to get better SEO rankings. So I need to put out like 20 blog posts. Or now that I'm trying to do local SEO, I need to have the same content but tailored for different locations. Or let me just put out more and more and more. And some that kind of thinking will sometimes just keep us on this like hamster wheel, just running and running and trying to do more and more and more. But the whole point is that, wait, would I rather do like one thing really, really well and get incredible outcomes, so incredible results? Or do I just have to think about throwing, well, I almost scared to use this with an Italian, but throwing spaghetti at the wall? No, I would
Mhm.
never do that. I won't even crack the spaghetti while putting it in the water. Don't worry. Um, you can try to worry so much about running yourself ragged, just trying to think like, let me just do everything I can. And I understand sometimes it's human nature. Search algos are constantly changing, social algos are changing. Increasingly, people are turning to like TikTok instead of Google, or they're using Copilot to search for things, right? There's, of course, there's changes. That doesn't mean you run yourself ragged. You want to be very deliberate and strategic in what you do and know how you're going to drive the business impact, right? So this is the thing that I use every single day at work, and it has proven so successful. I teach this to folks. It is a principle that I call that's called backward design. It's an instructional design principle that I have adapted for marketing. Whereas let's just start with what is the outcome that we're trying to drive first, and then work backwards to decide what's the behavior change I want, and then what is the type of content I need to create, where do I reach these people, and how do I do it. So I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
Let's say you and I got hired tomorrow at some fancy schmancy car company, and we know that the business outcome that we're trying to drive is selling more models of our latest fancy schmancy car. Now, you and I are marketers. We're not sales. So, like, ultimately, we're not going to be the one that's selling the car. But as marketers, what we can influence is getting people to the car showroom or doing configurations of the car online, right? So as marketers, we're like, we know that, okay, we want to sell more cars, like that will be the business goal. How can we get more sales? Is if we can get more people to the showroom, then sales can talk to them. And so for us, we're like, okay, we can get people excited as marketers, get them interested to come to the showroom. And so then we start to think about, okay, so who are the people that are most likely to be interested in this fancy schmancy car? Is it people who have like an older model of this car that I can convince them to upgrade the model? Is it people who might have a conventional car and I can convince them to go all electronic, all fancy? People maybe want to leave one car brand and come to this brand, right? Then who are these people? Where do they hang out? What is the best way that I can influence and persuade them? What's interesting to them? What do they need or want to hear? And then I can think about so much more strategically, what do I need to create? And so it can mean that I can just need to create like 4 or 5 things and not try to put 10,000 things or exhaust myself in the process. And I find when you can explain it this way, it's easier to make the case for budget. It's easier to make the case for resources or even just to get buy in on what you're doing. Because let's say you're an SEO and we're trying to go to the CMO. But to the CMO, SEO is just one channel in the overall sort of marketing mix. They are not going to want to care about, well, this ranking and this happened and this technical SEO fix. Those two in the weeds, they're just going to know like, how am I going to make money? Because the CFO is going to ask me how I'm going to make money. And so if I can explain that. So anyway, really long answer, Gianluca. I hope it's okay.
It was a fantastic answer. It was coming to my mind as a consideration is maybe connected to this, surely is the problem that many times many people still confuse tactics with strategy.
Yes, exactly. Oh, best way to put that. Yes. It's a tactic, it's not a strategy. Think about your strategies first, then do let the tactics come in. Otherwise, people will. And I've myself earlier in my career, I've made this mistake. So by no means am I
How
judging anyone, right?
everybody
We
does
all
did
do it.
it.
We're all human. This is how we learn as marketers is we'll get different tactics and then we'll try to weave it together and be like, this is our strategy, whereas just do it the other way. And then
Yeah.
you'll end up working less and getting more success and then get that recognition that we all deserve.
Yeah, yeah, yes, totally. But then in your book, I think these five things that people usually mistake.
Hmm.
There was another one which was really interesting for me, and it seems to be maybe the answer that you were giving is totally correct. But right now with AI, especially not now in this moment, probably in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, when this thing will be matured with, I'm talking of AI agents, and
Yeah.
where practically the bot substantially will do the stuff for us,
Yeah.
like reserving a table in a restaurant or buying a book at Amazon or making the car configuration stuff. And so you are saying creating for machine versus human. This is sometimes hard especially for SEO, because we have to
Right.
deal so much with a machine because we have to make understand the machine what we want to propose to the human. So how can we balance and how can we make understand that okay, sure, we must target humans, but we also must target this other person that tries to imitate the humans because it's the things which is between us and the people. So we have to work also with that. How can you? Sometimes we are talking with stakeholders, especially the mega super CMO of a
Mhm.
multinational company, the CEO. How can you explain that there must be also this, and that we also must maintain this kind of attention to targeting the machine, even if the real target ultimate is the real way to go to the humans.
Yes, there has to be that kind of balance because it would be unrealistic to say like just create for people and like forget the algos because sometimes there are some things, but overall it goes back one higher level. And as a former SEO, I'm talking to myself as well as I'm talking to all of you, right? I've worked at a search engine for over 5 years. I've worked at a social media platform for about 5 years. Like I know algorithms. And what you have to remember is that ultimately, what do the algorithms care about? They care about providing good user experiences. Why? Because they want people to keep coming back. The more people that use a platform, the more user base it is, the more money can be charged for ads. So if you think about a platform and an ad revenue driven platform, especially, they want to make sure that people find the value that they're looking for and they want to keep coming back to them. So algorithms are always going to prioritize giving people what they want. And that's why all of the signals that we've seen, right? Whether it's like people that click backlink very fast or people that will see things and just ignore it and has low click-through rate, things that typically haven't worked or have been like spammy content, low value content, all of the things that have been caught in different sort of algorithmic updates, so to speak, over the past like 2 decades are all the things that go against, high value what people want. So rather than chasing algorithms, and okay, 10 years ago even it used to be a lot easier because there used to be like one kind of algorithm. Now in this age of like quantum computing and intelligent AI driven things, there's not one single algo, right? There's multiple
Totally,
algorithms
totally.
running at the same time, right? Sorry, did you say something?
I was saying totally, totally agree.
Totally, right? There's so many different algos running at any given time. Like it's not like if I do this, I'll get this. And you and I, like we were working in SEO at the time when you could just submit to like DMAs and they'll be like, great. It was so easy at that time, and it's just not now. And so then you could, if you're always trying to chase the algorithm, like it's already changed by the time you even understand what's happening. And so rather than always panicking or worrying and being in this pursuit, just go after who they are trying to please, which is the people. And so, if you can give the high value content or the good user experiences, the stuff that is exactly what people are looking for when they are searching, then you are going to succeed. Because on social media, for example, if there's a great piece of content that tends to get a lot of engagement, it gets automatically rewarded with a lot more views and reach, right? Because algos are like, this is good content, people are really enjoying it, let me get it more, because then people will have a good experience and they'll want to come back. So that's the thing that I would just advise, that the algo is always going to win in the end because there's so many signals that you can't catch. So
Yes, surely this is the ultimate. At the end of the day, it's also what Google says when he talks about EEAT.
yeah.
Substantially saying, if you are doing this thing with this very broad concept, the problem is that then probably our educational work as an SEO, for instance,
Yeah.
is to explain, okay, these things are perfect. We should do these things, but explaining how these things uh, are translated to the machine. For instance, branding. I wrote a few months ago, a really long post about how to translate branding to a
Hmm.
machine in order to make them understand that you are a brand. So, for instance, you can be a brand, you can do wonderful branding, but if you are not able to make understand that you are this
Yeah.
entity called LinkedIn, you are not
Yeah.
going to be recognized as LinkedIn. This is maybe what it's not a way for chasing the algorithm, but to make understand the importance of the work that we are doing. Because if you're not, because the machine wants to do that, but for imitating their robots, for imitating the human behavior, they must transform it in numbers. And so,
Exactly. That is still our reality. Is like, yes, you can create all of that, but then you've got to make sure that it is digested, quote unquote, by
yeah,
the
totally,
algo.
totally.
And there are some sort of things that you know will work. So for example, on social media, like the if a post gets a lot of engagement, if it gets a lot of sort of, real meaningful comments, that tends to work well because it'll get much more reach,
Yeah.
posting when your audience is most likely to be on. And again, it can vary by people. You'll get a lot of clicks initially at the time that it comes. So of course you've got to put things in a way that they understand. So SEO is more important than ever, in fact, because now you've got to think about it for, okay, so Google also has their AI, Microsoft has got OpenAI, they've got Copilot. How, if I am somebody's sitting and doing a search via Copilot in a Word doc, how do you make sure that,
You are
if
used
you're,
as
yeah,
the
you come
source
out.
by but another thing is that is coming to my mind that is really ramping. I remember when 10 years ago, already 10 years has passed when we were both Moscow's community speaker, and
Yes.
already at the time we were talking about how Google and search engine in general were personalizing the search
Yeah.
results, and then came also all the personalization of the social media stream timelines and so on. Now we are seeing that this push to personalization is going even further. This is something that people sometimes still think that it's easier for social media because it's more assumed for social media, these gated echo chambers because
Mhm.
of personalization. But people still in search engines, both Bing and Google, but also ChatGPT, because ChatGPT has the memory of what you have asked in the
Yes.
past. So it's personalized to your question history, let's call it so, not search history. But so if you had to give a couple of ideas, how can a brand mm, try to be memorable in these social media streams, SERPs with thousands of SERP features that are practically pushing people to stay on SERPs and not click, or let's say ChatGPT perplexity answer that yes, they are linking, but the link is not so evident. So how to make you as a brand memorable even if you are not clicked, so people will start searching for it. With experience, also with talking with all these customers of LinkedIn, what you have seen that maybe it's the correct things to tackle these things and to explain it to people.
Isn't that the multi-billion-dollar question, Gianluca? Well,
I
no,
know I don't like to make easy
no,
questions.
but I'm so glad we're talking about it. And look, some of it we can speculate for how an AI agent will choose it, but I think rather than speculate, let's go back to see what has proven itself time and time and time again over the years, right? For something for something to be memorable, it's a human has to remember it. And so if we look back to see what hasn't changed, then there are things that we can identify that we can do. So there's tons of research. In fact, LinkedIn's B2B Institute shares research. The Ehrenberg Bass Institute puts out all of this research. So again, there's a ton of really heavy academic research out there to support some of what I'm going to share. So if you think about memorability, there's a few different factors. The first one that's actually even more important now is emotion. And this can be not making somebody cry or make somebody like laugh, for example. It can be an emotion that, oh, I like you, or that's interesting, or I feel like I can trust you, or you seem like a good choice. So there are ways that you can use emotions in your creative, in your content, whether it's on social media, other platforms. And remember, like now, it used to be such a siloed world, but people aren't so siloed anymore, right? Our AI agents are following our behavior on multiple different platforms. Like I'm going to do a search on Google. I'm going to be on scrolling LinkedIn for a couple of hours. I'm going to go on TikTok. I'm going to go to Reddit. Right? This is the reality of all of us. And these AI agents will pull it. So that's why I'm saying it's important to think about this. So you want to have a presence where your audience spends the most time. So if somebody is trying to target me, then come make sure you're targeting me on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Reddit for social medias, Bing or Google, and Copilot, what I use most of the time. Right, find your audience, and then emotion. What humor especially does super well on LinkedIn, and it doesn't have to be super expensive. In fact, one of my favorite examples, and this is actually on TikTok, there is a restaurant called Butter Chicken Factory in Toronto in Canada, and they have the funniest TikTok content. It's all like the restaurant owner and the restaurant staff, and they'll make 15 to 20-second videos that are just super humorous. They're super memorable. Like I follow them. I'm excited for the videos to come up. And like the next time I go to Toronto, I'm like, I just want to go and eat there just to see all of the staff and the people they made me laugh. You can do it in business too. Microsoft Copilot, for example, they share like almost like product demo kind of content, but in really funny, relatable situations. So they'll say that, okay, it's the holidays, you're going home, you're seeing your family. It's time to explain your job to your family. So how do you do it? So then they'll have an example, like how do I explain to my banker father what my job as a social media manager involves, because they just think I sit around and play on my phone all day, right? So it's just funny, and then I'll have
Yeah,
Copilot
well,
share it.
this is talking about things that always work. This is something that Microsoft in general always have done,
Yeah,
trying to be humorous, self-humorous about the product, and to present itself in an ironic way, self-ironic way. Instead, Apple usually is, and we can go deeper and deeper, and maybe talking about archetypes. And my Apple is like a wizard that present you the magical object that is going to
yeah, yeah,
resolve
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
life, and Google is like, I don't know. It could be, I don't know what kind of archetype it could be, but usually Google is trying to present you like the cool nerdy thing. Guy or woman that is using technology seamlessly in their life. So yeah, whereas we sort of branded persona that brands
Hmm.
are
Oh, that's so
assuming that,
interesting.
and maybe when we talk about memorability,
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
memorable is really about consistency, because
Yes, yes.
sometimes many brands, and this is also big enterprise
Hmm.
companies, do this mistake. They present themselves with a specific brand persona, and then they don't respect this brand persona in the different channels. So people don't stick with them because they don't recognize them or find them contradicting themselves.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. I saw a stat, and I'm going to send it to you after because I don't remember it, but large percentage of people's creatives get mistakenly attributed to another brand. I mean, if you watched 5 different shampoo commercials, would you
Mm.
be able to tell the brand apart? They're all so similar. So, in the same way, you're so right in so emotion, yes, but also consistent branding, consistent persona, and little branding elements. Like use the same. If you have your brand colors, use them everywhere. Things should be able to be identified even just with a quick 2-second glance, that, oh, that is like Ernst and Young, EY do it really well with these little yellow triangles. So it's those having brand characters. For example, like Mars had Roger Marsbot, or Duolingo, they have Duo, which is like everyone's favorite mascot at the moment. And so,
Even Microsoft had the
Flippy,
famous clip,
yes.
which is still remembered, and somehow it's more on brand now than it was before when we launched it in Office.
It's amazing, right? Brand mascots, brand colors, like they call it like, unique brand assets. So whether it's a color, whether it's a sort of jingle, right? You'll hear, Nike has just do it. It's a slogan. Teams, like the phone call of Teams. Like if you just hear that sound, that's a Teams phone call, right? It's a very unique, distinctive soundtracks. If you can have these distinctive brand assets, that's another way of building it. And then consistent messaging. And us marketers get fed up of messaging like long before the audience does, because we're exposed to it all the time. Audience isn't. So, Nike has said just do it for like decades. MasterCard has said, priceless is, they've used these slogans for years and years. Like De Beers, they've used like, a diamond is forever. They did that almost 100 years ago and they're still using it. Consistency, as you said, works so well across channels, across marketing mixes, and that's what people helps. Surreal, like they're such a fun cereal brand, UK based. They're super funny, they have the same colors, they're consistent across platforms. So anyway, there's a lot we can do there.
Indeed, and I think that this is why, especially now that technical writers and copywriters use LLMs as a tool for making things faster, it's so important for. This is, I think, again, a mistake that is made by companies, is not to share to everybody working for the brand Bible.
Yes.
So what is the tone of voice? What is, all the visual? What is the style? How to react to some kind of situation in brand and so on and so on. And maybe that's why usually the smartest, also SEO, always suggest to when you are going to create, why AI content by itself is not bad, but it's essentially crap if you are not making all these kind of things, like training it on your brand Bible with real example of what you have written in the past, in the present, by real person, and then obviously after the AI has given you the output to review it, and with a correction, making the AI reasoning again and correct itself again. And
That's exactly.
maybe it's this is when we have to talk about AI as a tool. This is how tool should be used. And just a curiosity, how in your daily life or in the daily life of LinkedIn are you using AI? I mean, LinkedIn is Microsoft, so I think a lot of Copilot, as you were hinting before. But how you introduce AI as a tool to make your work easier? For instance, analyzing all the data that surely you are receiving from all these customers that you have to deal with worldwide.
I think there's so many things. And again, to go back a step, AI, if you, I like to use this analogy, right? It's makeup or it can be a mask. If you use AI almost as makeup, so like you're putting on some red lipstick, they'll look nicer, then you're just enhancing what already exists. But if you use AI as this mask to do everything in a very like impersonal way, then you're not being able to show people who you are. And there's a very three-step formula for trust. And we've seen research time and time again that says like the trusted brands are the ones that tend to get bought. And it's, I need to know you, then I get to like you, and then I trust you. So remember, always use AI, but exactly, Gianluca, as you said, like feed it your tone and voice, guys. Make it feel like you, and that people can get to know you and not this impersonal mask. So how do we use it? So on LinkedIn, there's a few different ways. Like LinkedIn tries to make it super easy to empower people to create content or create ad campaigns. So we have something called Accelerate, for example, which is an AI led campaign creation. Super handy if you're a small business or you're super busy, even at a large company, and you want to create a new test or throw something out there very quickly. Accelerate has been generating amazing results. All you need to do is like put in a URL, and then it'll do so much of the heavy lifting for you. So that's one. Another thing is if you want to write, sometimes we'll all have those days where the words just aren't flowing, right? The words aren't wording. And you're like, I know what I want to say. I'm not articulating myself well. You can type something in there and you can have AI polish it up for you on LinkedIn itself, super easy. You can have it create AI images to go along with your posts. For example, on LinkedIn, we tend to see anything like images tend to do better than posts with just text alone, and then video does it better. You can use AI generated captions automatically. Great for LinkedIn because a large percentage, it used to be about 80% of videos were watched with sound off on LinkedIn. So just make sure that those you're turning on the AI generated captions. So at least there will be some closed captions if you don't. So those are some ways on the platform. For me personally, yeah, I love Copilot. Things that I have done, so, at the start of the year, you get all of those trend reports together. I just fed Copilot all of the different trend reports and I had it sort of give me advice. And I would ask it questions to be like, well, what do you think is better? Or what's working great? Or what do we see across? That could be awesome. So there's just the sky's the limit. We're just starting. Somebody said this, not me. I think there's a professor of AI in at Wharton, and he said like this is the worst that AI is ever going to be. This is the worst. It's just getting better at lightning speed, and so every day it's just getting better. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited too, but many are also scared. "Well, I'm going to lose my job." What do you say to all our friends, this young generation that started to work in digital marketing and they maybe are seriously worried about AI stealing their job? What do you say to say, okay, maybe this is too dramatic. Maybe they are not going to steal your job, but maybe they are going to make your job better. Well, for instance, when you are talking with younger generation, with people that are with worry, what do you, or maybe to yourself, in order to reassure yourself somehow, from, because we always have some fears, but how do you think AI is going to be more an answer for our job than a stealer of our job?
I think what I always go back to is when the calculator was first invented, all of the accountants were like, oh my God, my job is gone. And as you can see, it didn't happen. If some areas get more efficient, then what we've seen time and time again in every, whether it was the Industrial Revolution, whether it was something else, new jobs and different jobs get created. So I don't think it will like steal your job and you'll be less jobless. I think it's just going to open up an increasing space for new and different jobs to come up. So if we just look back in history, that it's always been the case. So just don't worry, don't be like the accountant. The calculators came, but we still need accountants. And
And we
so
still need calculators.
oh, we still need calculators because good gosh, like I look at us, technology has ruined us. I don't remember phone numbers anymore. You know, we have our phones. I'm not going to do math anymore. Like I'll use a calculator. So anyway, I would just say that think about the skills, like the skills, the creativity. Think about the things that AI can't do that well and just focus on those, but at the same time learn AI. So what I would even tell like my son who's Gen Z is make sure you're learning, use it, get really comfortable with it. It's just going to be another sort of language, right? Mobile phones didn't kill desktop computers, we still have them, right? TV didn't kill the radio. We have them all. Things don't die. Things just get used in different ways and we just keep adding more and more to our mix.
Yes, totally. I do one thing that I usually use AI for many different things, for analyzing better the
Mhm.
data, especially when there is a huge amount of data. But that's not even the most interesting things that I like to do with AI. The most interesting things I would do to AI is, for instance, when I have an idea and I start, okay, I present my idea, and for instance, using deep research or deep search
Mhm.
models, and asking, okay, present me a brief about this topic. So I can read it, etc., etc. But then what I do is starting using the Socratic methodology. So because
Mm.
I know that I want to say something, but I don't know how to say it and how to fact check it, what I believe. So I start to ask questions, and I really push the model, the thinking model, in doing lateral thinking. Because usually AI, if you are not really stimulating it, is going to give you a straight answer, the easiest. answer. But then, okay, but cannot you do this, doing this, that? So driving crazy. Sometimes I remember that at least a couple of times, OpenAI, ChatGPT in thinking mode gets stuck in loop because of this question I was doing, because
Mm.
it was starting, okay, but you have to do this, you have to do that. No, rethinking. So, but I think this is a very interesting way to use lateral thinking with with a machine, with like an AI, in order to make your own ideas clearer.
Mm.
Then obviously you have to fact check everything, but especially for brainstorming with yourself better.
Yes. That's genius. I love that approach. I'm going to try that. That you're so right. It just helps you have a brainstorming buddy, so to speak, which is you, and it has access to all this
And
info.
also because especially when you're working alone and you don't want to always go
Yes.
disturbing your friend, asking even the most absurd question. With an AI you can do it.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
you can do the most stupidest question to an AI about an idea that you have and make it reason, and maybe that idea is not so stupid. And
Yeah, yeah,
you can find that there are ways to do something or to explain something. So yeah, I really suggest to do that. Going back to your great book, a big part of your book is also dedicated to behavioral science and how it's important to study to understand the behavior of your audience in order to better market this audience. So, what is the biggest change in the behavior that you are seeing is happening in this moment?
I
For
think
instance,
the
when
one,
searching
yeah,
for a solution, especially that can be answered by a brand, by a website, whatsoever.
I think the one biggest change, and that's just important for us to pay attention to as marketers, regardless what discipline, is people's filtration has become so strong now, right? What AI did was it lowered the bar for entry. Like anyone can be a content creator now because it's so simple to record, to edit, to fix things. You can just do everything on your phone. And so now we have more and more people creating content from all corners of the world, of all ages and backgrounds. And so the same platforms that, we thought were competitive 10 years ago are just infinitely more competitive. LinkedIn just hit over 1 billion members, for example, and that number keeps going up. So with so much content being created everywhere and like throwing it, like even as humans, we've developed this like our human algo filtering through it. And so it's getting really easy to ignore content. Scrolling it up or ignoring it just takes no effort. It's like stopping to engage. And so the bar has just gotten higher. So we have to pay attention. And this is especially true for the younger generation, like Gen Z. They grew up with the internet, right? They've had this phone side view of the
And
world.
Generation Alpha is even worse.
100,000%. So we've just got to raise the bar and raise our standards. Like those shortcuts, all of those things, like they may work in the short term, but they're not going to work much longer. Like things get caught quicker, any kind of lazy shortcuts. And trust me, I'm sad too. Like if I could just get an AI bot to go to the dentist for me so I never have to drill a cavity, I would. But it's not that advanced yet. I will get no benefit if I go out and do that. I'll get no long-term benefit. So it will just be me feeling happy that I missed my appointment, but then my my cavity will become a root canal, and no one wants that. So that's the one thing I would say.
Yeah, but totally correct. Totally correct. But when we implement all these things, all these inputs, we are doing great marketing, we are doing all these great things. But when comes the moment that we have to measure all the things we have done,
Yeah.
and measuring stuff, measuring results, it's become increasingly complex right now. So what kind of metrics you think are the ones that really matters, that we should take as our canary in the mine to understand if we are doing a good marketing or the marketing that is not working so well?
That's such a good question, right? I mean, that's it's so much more complicated now with media mix modeling and people's having limited budgets and where should they put their dollars. And for so long, it used to be just, well, last click attribution, Google Analytics showing Google AdWords is where all the money is coming from. So let's just put that. But then people will turn off other channels and realize, like, hey, without the other channels inputting in, it's not as effective. So I think something really interesting will be, I hope AI helps a lot more with attribution. But for the moment, if we look at the metrics, then it really comes down to a super simple, like, line of sight framework. And I wrote about this in my book as well. There's the 4 R's that I call it, right? It's reach. Like, is my content actually going out there? Am I reaching the right people? Am I getting the amount of reach that I'm looking for? Then it will be like the response. So actually, it'll be the reaction. The second R is the reaction. That am I seeing clicks? Am I seeing engagement? Am I so not only am I reaching a lot people, but am I reaching the right people? And are they finding my content valuable enough to engage with it? So again, that's the second step. So I'm like, okay, if I've done this, next, I've reached that. These are all my leading indicators. Then I'll look at sort of like response. What are they doing? Are they sharing it with others? Am I seeing some sort of increase in behavior change? Are more people, booking visits to my showroom, to go back to that car example? And then finally, the fourth one is like the revenue, the business impact. Did it hit the sort of right business impact that I was looking for with my campaigns? But I like your question so much, because if you don't track that canary in the mine, if you don't track the sort of full line of sight from like when you put something out to like when the business impact happens, it too many months can go by as well. And then the other thing I would just advise people is to give things the right time it takes to measure. Like, very often, we asked this question at LinkedIn to people. We said that, what's your average sales cycle in B2B? And everyone's like, well, months, right? It's 6 to 9 months is the average minimum sales cycle. Then we said that, how many of you will check your campaign results in the first 2 weeks and make decisions? I mean, 75 something percent of people were like, we look at it in the first 2 weeks. I'm like, well, you're looking at it too soon. Like, if I was making ice cream and I just put it in the freezer, and like 10 minutes later I came back and be like, I don't have ice cream, obviously my recipe doesn't work. Nope, I just didn't give things enough time to cook or freeze. So it's about the metrics, and then just ensuring that you are aligning your measurement cycles with your actual business cycles.
That is a very cool and interesting suggestion recommendation because having worked with B2B myself, yes, sometimes you find yourself, okay, I mean, if you have to sell these things, which is you have to produce it. And you know that is very costly, but there is a super huge bureaucratical because of legal also stuff for creating, for selling this and negotiating, etc., etc., etc. Why are you pretending that I'm going to give you results? But maybe you can start trying to understand what are the micro conversion in the in
Yeah.
between. So that is a way for reassuring the client that yes, you are going in the right direction. Okay, Purna, I would love to continue, but I think that yes, span of attention of our listeners and watchers surely is higher than Generation Alpha,
Yeah.
surely.
Fingers
But
crossed. Let's hope
let's
so. If
let's
you're still
not
listening, thank you.
let's try not to make them spend too much time because probably they need to do something else. But before closing, just a few questions that I do every time to every guest of a search session. Uh, very not silly, they are cool questions, but I ask you to answer very fast. They are
Do
so
it.
to the first thing coming to your mind. It's a really cool way to for knowing, in this case you, but the people that are participating in the research session. So, for instance, first question: what is the food that you like the most? The one where you see it, I have to eat it.
Oh, pizza.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, can't go
And
wrong.
and other question. If you were going to win Powerball or Mega Millions, where would you love to retire yourself and your family?
Oh, that's such a hard question. Well, if I won millions, I would buy the most beautiful house in one in India, one in Italy, and then one I don't know where else, somewhere else. But I like variety, so I won't stay in one place. I like to travel and be in like 4 or 5 different places. But definitely India and Italy would be on my list.
Yes, because from India is so big. From what part of it? This is not a Proust question. A question. It's a curiosity.
Yeah. So
From
I
which
was
part
born
of
in
India are
Mumbai.
you?
Mumbai.
Ooh, so
I know
Bollywood.
Mumbai is like the sort of the financial capital of Mumbai, but it's also got this home to Bollywood. Mumbai is
Yeah,
also
yeah,
an
yeah.
island, so it's gorgeous. I still say there's no place like Mumbai, the maximum city.
Okay, returning to the questions. So, what is your least favorite sound or noise?
The sound of people chewing. No, actually, I'll cancel that. Snoring. I hate snoring, and so
Yeah.
my my husband has to go get kicked out. So he knows he's got evicted if he's snoring. So yeah, that is my. It just annoys me.
And what is the last book that you loved reading?
Ooh, the last book that I love reading. That's such a good one. I've been reading this, especially this business book. It's called The Spirit of Kaizen, and it just talks about making small improvements. So Kaizen is this Japanese concept. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
used
yeah.
by, so it's like just 1% better every day. And I found that very often I will want and people want to make these big sweeping changes and then I will do really well for the first 2 weeks. And then I'm like, well, forget it. It's not
Yeah.
happening. So I really found it motivational to have this idea of just like 1% better. What can I do to be constantly learning, constantly growing, and doing small changes to see big compounding impact?
Cool, cool. And what is your least favorite color?
Yellow. Weird to say that, no? I love green, but I do not like yellow.
Why? What?
I don't know. It's just too bright and
What
loud.
do you associate with yellow?
Nothing. It's just like it's too bright and loud, and maybe there's just certain shades of yellow, like pale yellow. I like that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
never. I just the first thing that came to mind.
oh, cool. Oh, cool. So, and now to have fun, what is your favorite curse word?
My favorite curse word? Well,
I
I say
mean,
it
we are
not a
all.
lot, but I remember my favorite things are the Italian symbols that you taught me. Remember one night at Brighton SEO's after parties, like you and then John Paolo, and we sat there and you all taught me every Italian curse word. So
Yeah, yeah, yes.
I
So,
love that. I think this is just
yes, I invite people
to
to discover
Gianluca's course on
themselves
Italian
because they
cursing.
sound quite grossy on video and podcast. So,
That's your next podcast
let's say that
topic.
they are really physical. To say so. Okay. Thank you, Purna. It was really a big pleasure to spend this hour with you. And I found everything you said really interesting. Surely our watchers and listener found it too. And about you, listener and watcher, remember to click on subscribe and on the bell so you will be notified for the new episodes that are going to come. Well,
Thank
thank
you so
you,
much for
Purnan.
having me. Mille, mille grazie. This was so fun.
Grazie a te. Take care.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.